Fire away.
This is Unit 7, Week 2, Question 2, Part B. What did the Emergency Quota and National Origins Act do? They were trying to restrict the number of immigrants coming in. The 1920s were a xenophobic period. They were trying to restrict the bad immigrants, the illiterate, less educated ones. So what did they do? They took the 1921 Emergency Quota Act, took the census from 1910, at the height of the massive European influx through Ellis Island, and it went 10 years earlier and took all of the countries by nation in 1910. Greek, Italians, Poles. It said how many Polish people were here in 1910. Okay, now take 3% of that number. That's the max that can immigrate per year. The intent was to allow unlimited, more or less, immigration from England, elsewhere, because they'd already been here in huge numbers. But in 1910 census was before the massive influx in Poles, or it was halfway through. So that number reduced the amount. Then in 1924, they went further. They said, in the National Origins Act, let's go back to the 1890 census. If you take the total number of Syrians or Italians or Russians in 1890, it's not very many. What's that mean? If you take 2% of a tiny number, you're drastically going to reduce the number coming in. It also imposed a maximum on certain other countries. Immigration from Canada, Mexico, and the Western Hemisphere, pretty much not limited. What did it mean? Until 1946, immigrants were limited to 150,000 per year, and then 100,000. Immigration plummeted, especially from the Southern and Eastern European countries, because they're using census data from 1890, when they started to arrive. So a small percent of next to nothing that's already there in 1890 is minimal. Finally, Sacco and Vanzetti. Who are they? They're two guys who become martyrs. Sacco and Vanzetti were allegedly gunmen who robbed the shoe factory of its payroll, killed the paymaster guard in South Braintree, Mass. They were put on trial. They were convicted because they looked Italian. And the suspects in the case looked Italian. They became martyrs for America's sense of it's an overly xenophobic, anti-immigrant nation. Turns out one of them, at least Sacco, probably did commit the murder, but they were hung, convicted, and executed, all because they looked Italian. So it showed you just how paranoid America was of Eastern Europeans, and as well as how quick they were to make a judgment even if someone was an Italian. There was a huge outcry over this, but it definitely showed that people were way paranoid of foreigners and way xenophobic. And that's it from some guy in an Aloha print shirt.